Hey, so I've avoided the topic of artificial intelligence, which is ironic because the name of this channel is AI Changes It. I've discussed some things that were, related to AI, like the power usage that needs to take place, the nuclear energy aspect of things that are going to need to be put in place in order to supply the power that the data centers are going to need. But I really haven't specifically discussed AI. And I thought today might be a good time to do that, considering tomorrow is the day that Nvidia is releasing their, their profits for this most recent quarter. And that's kind of perfect timing. Oh, there's a little boat there. Yeah, very non-AI environment here. I'm at the Venetian in Las Vegas. But anyways, back to Nvidia. Nvidia will be coming out with their earnings tomorrow, and they're the most wealthy company on the face of the planet right now. And tomorrow, I can just tell you, no matter what happens, the people in the corner offices of Wall Street are going to be extremely happy. And, they're going to do the whole, patting each other on the back and kissing each other's butts because of how well it's doing. But the fact of the matter is that it's irrational exuberance, to draw up a term back from the 90s. This irrational exuberance that they're showing about AI isn't necessarily about AI. It's an irrational exuberance about the hardware industry underlying the AI play. It's really the only thing that Wall Street has to invest in right now. They can't invest in what is another key aspect of the AI play, which is the human mind. Right now, we have a huge amount of processing power already available to us, and it's like a great supply of paint, but nobody knows how to use it. If we look at it like an artwork type thing, and there is going to be an art to creating proper AI, if we look at it like that, we're still in the caveman stages of drawing stick figures on a wall of a cave, as opposed to anything like Da Vinci might have made, or Monet, or any of the greats, any of the masters. We probably don't have really any masters yet. I don't know, maybe there's some out there, but they're few and far between, and more than likely, they're not even recognized, and probably won't be in their lifetime for the skills that they have. Right now, everything is just about the hardware. And to be honest, I hearken back to a quote that was made by, William, I can't remember his name, but it was a gentleman that said, if you don't know how to ask the right question, you learn nothing. And Demmings was his last name. He has some fantastic business-oriented quotes. He lived in the 1930s and 1940s, and he was all about processes. And his whole thing was basically about the efficiency involved in these things. And as such, he came up with William Edward Demmings was his name. And as such, it was the type of thing that he said, you need to know what you're doing. You can have all the best tools in the world, but unless you know how to use them, they're useless. So right now we're in an age where we have all the tools being made available, but at the moment it's not really just the tools that we need. We need the minds to go out and experiment with these and work with these. And people would say, oh yeah, they're doing that right now. Well, generative AI is nothing when it comes to that. It's basically, it's all dependent on data that's already out there, work that's already been done, and then taking that work and then spinning it and spitting it back out to you and saying, here you go, you created this. Well, no, you didn't, because when you really get right down to it, without the previous work that was done, nothing in generative AI really matters. It's nothing new. It's just, variations on the same thing. It's certainly not 0 to 1, as Peter Thiel put it. It's more like a 1 to 2, or 2 to 3, or 1,000 to 1,001, or 1 billion and 1 billion and 1. I mean, it's really not any kind of innovation coming from generative AI. Now, don't get me wrong, generative AI does have its place. I think that we're going to see generative AI be really handy in doing some very basic tasks for us. I like the idea of Gen AI being able to go ahead and create for us things like APIs that link together two different pieces of software. When you want QuickBooks to talk to your own, individual internal accounting software or something like that, you can use generative AI to spit out a first layer of the code that you need to create that API that links those softwares together. It's going to eliminate some entry-level jobs, but the way I heard it described by other people, they said, well, no, it doesn't eliminate those jobs. It moves all the people that are doing the entry level, that first coding, the first run through of code. It eliminates the need for them so that they're able to then move up to the next level, and they're able to start doing second tier coding and that type of thing. I hope that that's the case. I think that would be great. As generative AI gets better, it's going to go ahead and do things that, it's going to be able to take on some of those things. But again, it's not going to do all the work for us. It's going to still require the human minds to go out there and figure out exactly how these are, because we are so far from cognitive AI. These independent thought systems that are like something that basically is able to think and develop and create. Right now, it's all just mimicking. It's parroting. It's basically like parrots, going ahead and creating, their new. They're basically just repeating back everything that they've said in the past. So, what it comes down to, the next investment level, in my opinion, does not come from necessarily the Nvidias of the world. I don't think that Nvidia, ultimately, a few years from now, we're probably going to be like, yeah, we have tons of processing power now. We have tons of cores. I said that years ago. I've been a Nvidia user for decades, really, because I was a gamer. And I always had my Nvidia cards that I was always impressed with. Even the most basic cards, the 550 Ti I used to have, it had 300-400 cores in it. Now my 3060 Ti has thousands of cores. I think it has 4,800 cores or something like that. And so 5 or 6 years ago, before people got on the Nvidia bandwagon, and it was still $40 a share, and its market cap back at that time was probably 100, 150, 200 billion. Now it's $1 trillion, 5 times that. I was saying all the way back then that it wasn't a gaming company anymore. It was a company that was all about the cores. It was about the cores that it could create. And let's talk on that for a second, what I mean by that. When it comes to cores, let's compare, say, Intel to Nvidia and what they have. Intel is like a freight train. It's basically like a locomotive that is able to move giant, chunks of information from one location to another. They're extremely powerful cores, but in a lot of cases, you wouldn't want your Uber being delivered by a locomotive. You want your Uber Eats being delivered by somebody in a click, 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 fast way to get around. I'm right now in Las Vegas the week before F1, and the roads are unbelievably packed. So even to get your Uber Eats delivered here by a car would be more than you really need. What you really want is something that's small and quick, like a scooter or a motorcycle that you can zip in and out of traffic with. Nvidia is the scooters of the technology world. They're not going to lift these huge equations and all these sorts of things, these giant calculations that are required to do things like, say, drafting or movie production and everything. It's really loud around here. That gentleman's singing back there, and it's kind of great. I love this location for this video that I'm doing on AI. But it's basically, Intel is this giant locomotive creator. Nvidia provides you with the little zip arounds. It can create these tiny cores that can do quick little jobs and then drop it and get the next one and drop it and get the next one. Whereas Intel is the giant, lugging huge equations and calculations and numbers around. Now here's the deal. Intel, don't write them off, because Intel was one of the first innovators in something called hyperthreading. You would buy a Intel processor as far back as like the Pentium 3, and you'd have 2 cores in the processor maybe, but then it would do something called hyperthreading, which would create 4 cores. It would create 2 virtual cores and 2, physical cores. They still do that to this day. They do hyper-threading. You might get 12 cores on, say, I don't even know what they're on right now, 12th, 15th generation Intel chip. And you'll get 12 cores, but you can hyper-thread those and get 24 cores. Here's the deal. Intel, get off your butts and don't just be hyper-threading. Go ahead and create, let's just call it quantum threading. Let's say that you're going to be able to take a single core and split it into 1,000 cores. Why can't you do that? Why haven't you done that yet? That's my question. And somebody at Intel may be listening to me right now and saying, that guy, that Matt guy, yeah, let's do what he said. Let's split our cores. And suddenly you do that where you're able to split a single core into, say, 1,000 virtual cores. Then you have a 12-core processor, 12 physical cores that's then able to process 12,000 small individual, like CUDA style cores, CUDAs, which are what CUDAs are really just virtual cores in the Nvidia processor system. So Intel will get there. They're lumbering. They're slow. I went into Microsoft years ago in an interview, and I said, lumbering giants like Microsoft are going to get their lunch eaten by open source software. And, several years later, Microsoft bought, GitHub so that they would have this unlimited amount. And you remove GitHub from Microsoft's arsenal, they have nothing. ChatGPT becomes nothing without GitHub, at least not on the producing code side. And that's a huge part of what they're banking on right now. Anyways, I digress. Intel will figure out how to virtualize their cores. They will catch up, and you're going to see a big shift. Right now, I think Intel's trading at $25 a share. They're probably a $100 billion market cap. I think that probably as of tomorrow, when Nvidia comes out with their next earnings, they'll probably be $150 a share, something like that. I bet you that 5 years from now, both Nvidia and Intel are both at $75 a share. Their market caps, Nvidia's market cap is still going to be substantially larger than Intel's. Nvidia's market cap will have come down more to like 500 billion, 600 billion, maybe 750 billion. Intel's will be up more closer to, say, 300 or 400 billion. So the investment option right here, in my opinion, comes back to Intel. If you want something that's right now a cheap piece to get, and processing power is really what we're looking for, go and buy Intel at 25 bucks a share. Go and drop $1,000 into this, 10,000, buy 1,000 shares, whatever you can afford. Go and get it, because I really think that Intel's story is not over. And I'm never one to, sit here and endorse these old lumbering giants. Like I said, I've always spoken out against companies like Microsoft, which, by the way, go and buy some Microsoft. You're not going to be disappointed. They have such a stranglehold on the market. They're basically, we're stuck with them. So tomorrow's Nvidia's earnings come out. I'm going to post this up today. Hopefully we get some views. I'll probably throw this around onto X and some of the others. I highly doubt that most people are going to watch the length of these videos. I think some of these videos that I've done get a few hundred views. My videos that get the more views are the ones of things like how to bring a dead iPad back to life and stuff like that, which is great. I appreciate everybody watching my channel. But I hope that this can help start putting into perspective some of those Wall Street investors' ideas of what's important in the AI, and understand that AI's play is in the human mind as much as it is in the computer's mind. So yeah, invest in those. Palantir, I'll throw that out. Palantir and IBM are making their business out of human efforts into utilizing the AI. You want good investments, invest in those. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to go back to enjoying my trip to Vegas. Bye-bye.